Well, we're here today talking with Shelley Park and Veronica and Hank McFadden. We're here to talk about Let's Talk Race. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Shelley, you are facilitating the Let's Talk Race group. Can you tell me what first caused you to get involved in the racial discussion?
Yeah, Michelle, so I've been listening to this conversation for a long time. Our youngest son is adopted. He's part Nigerian, and so he looks very different than the rest of our family. And so I've been listening. But then about 5 years ago, when Philando Castile was shot in his car, doing nothing wrong with his 4-year-old daughter in the back seat, my eyes were opened to that the story's different than what I'd always thought. And so I started listening, like a lot of people are doing right now, listening, trying to figure out, learning. And then last fall, when Tatiana Jefferson was shot in her home, playing video games with her nephew, I really felt like the Lord said, it's time. It's time for you to move past listening and to speak up. And so a lot of people I listen to say, white people need to go educate other white people. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Thank you, Shelley. I didn't mention that Hank and Veronica are related. Hank is Veronica's son. So as a young adult, Hank, I'm curious, what about Let's Talk Race caused you to even want to participate in it?
Well, to give a little context to my answer, I think with my journey beginning in college, when I started to gain a lot of friends who were of a different color, and them telling me how the injustices that they experience and what they go through, and still being skeptical of all of that. I think this ultimately was just the cherry that, cemented it. I think for me, it was just, there's so much that I don't know. And I think I finally came to the realization is I have been so complicit in what I believe, and so and just fragile to hearing about other people go through what people go through, and just not wanting to hear it. And I've heard a lot of people say, we want white people to do something, to have the conversations and learn. There's so much that I did not know about this, that systematic racism is alive and well today in America.
And how did that make you feel?
Very, very angry, disgusted. I think it's really appalling. It's frustrating when you hear, especially when you were growing up thinking, the civil rights movement had done away with racism, and how slavery was over and done. And it would be, it's interesting to when you hear numbers like 1 in 3 Black people experience some sort of racism and go through incarceration. That's ridiculous. That's frustrating, and it makes me angry.
Thank you, Hank. That's what caused Hank to get involved. Veronica, since you've been in the group, how has it impacted you personally?
Well, this journey began a little bit before the group. Shelley and I are friends, our kids are friends, and we have been having these conversations. And honestly, when she was bringing up some of the words that are taught in the class, I was offended. She used the words white fragility, and honestly, I felt, well, how is that not racist? But what I've learned in the class and going forward has been very eye-opening. But I think the most important thing for my journey was that I really had to sit down and say, God, what is it that you want me to learn here? What is it that you want me to see? And then what can I do about it? And honestly, my heart, it was changed virtually in a moment's time. I really felt like the Holy Spirit answered my prayer request. And so in taking the class, I've learned so much about racism, and that I want to be anti-racist, and that I have a part to play in this matter. I need to do something. I can't just sit by and do nothing. But the first step, I have to learn what I don't know. And that's where I feel like the class came in and showed me a lot of things. I highly recommend this. I really desire everyone I know to take this class.
Thank you both, Hank and Veronica, for telling us about your experiences entering into the group as well as coming out of it. Shelley, who would you recommend if people are watching this video and wondering, is this for me? Who is it for? Let's Talk Race.
Well, honestly, Michelle, I think anyone coming to this class will learn something. It's like Veronica said, we don't know what we don't know. And there's so much history that we were not taught. And so anyone coming, there will be things you will learn. But it is geared towards the dominant culture, right? We talk a lot about what does it mean to be white? And what is our role as white people in this conversation about race? And how do we make changes for our friends of color and places of belonging for everyone? So
I want to thank all of you for joining me today. Shelley, thank you for starting the group and for joining us, as well as Hank and Veronica McFadden. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
thank you.
Thank
You as
you.
well.
Likewise.